Have you known about sampling? Sampling is one of the crucial things in research methodology. Hi everyone, welcome to Viveka's channel. Today, I'm going to explain you about types of probability sampling. Before that, let me introduce myself first. My full name is Anggraini and I'm from 5BB class. What is probability sampling? Probability sampling has definition to be defined as a sampling technique in which the researcher chooses samples from a larger population using a method based on the theory of probability. The most critical requirement of probability sampling is that everyone in your population has a known and equal chance of getting selected. For example, if you have a population of 100 people, every person would have odds of 1 in 100 for getting selected. Probability sampling gives you the best chance to create a sample that is truly representative of the populations. Probability sampling uses statistical theory to randomly select a small group of people, or we can call it a sample, from an existing large populations and then predict that all their responses will match the overall populations. Probability sampling is also called as the method of sampling, which utilizes some form of random selection. In order to have a random selection method, people must set up some process or procedure that ensures that different units in the population have equal probabilities of being chosen. Humans have long practiced various forms of random selections, such as picking a name out of a hat or choosing the short straw. These days, we tend to use computers as the mechanism for generating random numbers as the basic for random selections. Next, before I explain the various probability methods, we have to define some basic terms. These are: N with a capital is the number of cases in the sampling frame. Second, N is the number of cases in the sample. Third, NCN is the number of combinations or subsets of N per K. And the last F, N per N, is the sampling fractions. That's it. With those terms defined, we can begin to define the different probability sampling methods. Next, the probability sampling method has some sampling. There are four. First, simple random sampling. Second, systematic sampling. Third, stratified random sampling. And the last is multi-stage sampling. Next, first we are trying to explain to understand about simple random sampling. That's as simple to accomplish and it's easy to explain to others because simple random sampling is the pure way to select a sample. It is reasonable to generalize the result from the sample back to the population. Simple random sampling is not the most statistically efficient method of sampling, and you may, just because of the luck of the draw, not get good representation of subgroups in the populations. This sampling method is as easy as assigning numbers to the individuals or sample and then randomly choosing from those numbers through an automated process. Finally, the numbers that are chosen are the members that are included in the sample. There are two ways in which researchers choose the samples in this method of sampling. Next, systematic sampling. Systematic sampling is an extended implementation of the same or probability technique in which each member of the group is selected at a regular periods to form as a sample. For example, you can select every fifth person to be in the sample. Systematic sampling is an extended implementation of the same or probability. Next, stratified numbered sampling. Stratified random sampling involves a method where the researcher divides a more extensive populations into small groups that usually don't overlap but represent the entire population. While sampling organizes these groups and then draw a sample from each group separately. Stratified random sampling, also sometimes called proportional or quota random sampling, involves dividing the populations into homogeneous subgroups and then taking a simple random sample in each subgroup. A standard method of the stratified random sampling is to arrange or classify by sex, age, ethnicity, and similar ways, splitting subjects into mutually exclusive groups and then using simple random sampling to choose members from the group. And the last is multi-stage sampling. The four methods we have recovered so far, simple, stratified, systematic, and cluster, are the simplest random sampling strategies. Here we go on to multi-stage sampling. This sampling has, for example, consider the idea of sampling as New York State residents for face-to-face interviews. Clearly, we would want to do some type of cluster sampling as the first stage of the process, as we can see here. And the last, we will understand about advantages of probability sampling. There are three advantages of this probability sampling. First, it's cost effectively. This process is both cost and time effective, and a larger sample can also be chosen based on numbers assigned to the samples, and second, it's simple and straightforward. Probability sampling is an easy way of sampling as it does not involve a complicated process, so it's not too complicated. It should be simple for this sampling. The last one is non-technical. The method of the sampling doesn't require any technical knowledge because of its simplicity. So this probability sampling is the simplest sampling for the hypothesis. Thank you.